Welcome to the Hunnid Yard Dash Football Podcast presented by the Chiefs Focus Network, where you talks about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all Hunnid yards in between. Without further ado, here's you.
Yo, what it do? This is the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast, where I'm talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. I am your host. Who am I? Who am I? I am your host. You, that is the letter U, not the word. The letter U, not the word. What am I doing here? This is the 100-Yard Dash. I'm talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. You can find this podcast wherever you find your podcast. You can also find me on, of course, Facebook Live. You can find me on, if you are part of the Chiefs Focus group, as far as the fan page on Facebook, you can find me there. You can find us on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. And, of course, anywhere you get your podcasts. When can you find me? I'm doing this thing about once a week in the middle of the week, mainly Wednesdays. When you have so many kids, sometimes you got to be fluid in your movements. And I almost had to do that today because my children wanted to be awake when I got home at 2:30 a.m. But, I was able to be up early enough to do this thing, and we're ready to do it, right? Let's get it done. So set up your notifications when you subscribe, like, all that good stuff. If you'd like to comment on the show live and get your voice heard, you can join the StreamYard/YouTube/Twitch stream. I will display your comments and answer whatever questions you have at that moment. So get involved with the show. Get on in there. I got to start off the show with this. Unfortunately, we had a situation that we never really cared to witness in football. We never care to witness it in football, but it is a reality of the sport, unfortunately. Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field and was trying to be resuscitated on the field for a number of minutes. And it was very traumatizing to witness. It was very traumatizing to everyone that was there watching on the field, because while the game of football is a violent sport, you never expect to see anything like that to happen on the field, and it did. So, first of all, my prayers go out to the family of the Hamlin family and all those associated with them. My prayers go to the young man that was being tackled. I pray to the Lord that he's not feeling in any way responsible for the situation. But Damar Hamlin has been he's stable now. He's still induced, I guess. He's still out. So I mean, it's hard for me to put my thoughts into words when it comes to this situation. It was horrific to witness, and I am very, very, I'm very appreciative that they didn't finish the game. That the young men playing on the field didn't finish. Not even for the respect factor. It was a traumatic experience. I don't want to speculate exactly what is going on, because I think that would be irresponsible. I just want to just pray for the family and hope that everything will be all right. That's all we can do. and pray for the mental health of all that were involved, because just playing this violent game is not something that um, is not something easy to deal with when you see that stuff on the field. So I do want to commend the coaches for telling the NFL, because I do believe that they did tell the NFL that they weren't going back out there. I want to commend them for doing that, protecting their players, because in the moment, so many things are going on, and you possibly could lose sight of what's going on in your mind. So I'm glad to see that the coaches protected the players. I am very happy to see that the coaches protected the players, and again, the family of the Hamlin family and all associated with them are my prayers, the prayers of Chiefs Focus are with you. It's a little bit tough to move on, but unfortunately, I have to. So we got week 17 in review. So there's a lot of playoff implications when it comes to this thing here. This week is a big deal. It's a huge deal, actually. Um, we're sitting here and we got to realize that some stuff is going to go down, and your team, I don't know who your team may be. Your team may be the Chiefs, your team may not be the Chiefs. Um, Chiefs Focus first and 10 live. He's still under, but spokesperson stated that doctors are seeing what they wanted to see, and his family also stated hate towards T. Higgins is completely unwarranted. Yes, it is. But I'm going to continue to move on, just so we can keep the show at a reasonable time frame, just because I know y'all got stuff to do and I don't want to belabor your time. But we got let's talk about this week week 1 game, or not week 1, the first game of the week 17 season. The Dallas Cowboys put a whooping on the Tennessee Titans 27-13. Cowboys are 12-4, Titans are 7-9. Um First and foremost, let's get this straight. Tennessee did not play their starters. They didn't play their starters, or they didn't play Derrick Henry. Uh, what's his name is escaping me, but the quarterback did not play because I think he's on IR, if I'm not mistaken. So there's that. There is that. And after that, we're talking about what? A couple of the players on defense are not playing. So they wasn't really into this game anyway. What they're preparing for is next week, because next week is the time where we're talking about a division game. The red hot Jaguars are coming to town, and look, they looking to take the AFC South from the Tennessee Titans. They are looking to take the AFC South away from the Tennessee Titans, and we'll see what happens there. So they lose. They lose to the Dallas Cowboys 27-13. I just clicked off my notes and I don't know where they are now. Um, I just clicked. There they go. Um, Vrabel, and I realize also Vrabel doesn't really. I don't know if he believes in Malik Willis. I don't know if he believes in Malik Willis. And Malik Willis was drafted this last thank you. Ryan Tannehill's his name. Ryan Tannehill. But Malik Willis was drafted this past draft in 2022. I want to say the third round and maybe the fourth. And after this last game with Tannehill out, I don't know if Mike Vrabel really believes in him. I just don't. So much so that he benched him in favor of Josh Dobbs. Y'all remember Josh Dobbs? If I'm not mistaken, he graduated from what, UC? No, that was Josh Rosen. I want to say UCLA, some university in college. And for in the interest of time, I'm not going to look it up. But he graduated there, and then he went to the Steelers, I want to say. But Malik Willis is supposed to be your future, and you benched him in favor of Josh Dobbs. I understand Malik Willis has his lumps to take because he is still a young buck. But geez, already, man, already, whatever. It is what it is. Let's move on. The Arizona Cardinals, Chiefs focus 1st and 10. He should. The kid is legit. He's not being coached well enough for the transition to the NFL, which is weird to say. Thank you for saying that. It's weird to say because my thing about that is I was on these radio waves or podcast wave waxing poetic about how I think Mike Vrabel is a great coach and how he's made the playoffs so many times over since his tenure. And ever since then, he goes on this losing skid. He's not believing in the guy that is brought in to be the next guy. Like, so many things are happening, and maybe I was wrong. I'm not ready to say I absolutely was, but we will see what happens moving forward, because I thoroughly believe that Jacksonville will be making the playoffs. I thoroughly believe that Jacksonville will be making the playoffs, but we will see what happens. I done already hit the swoosh, so we're going to keep it moving. Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals lose to the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons 20, Arizona 19. These are two losing teams. Falcons are 6 and 10. Arizona's 4 and 12. There's some recent things in the Arizona Cardinals headboard where, some things are being moved around. Steve Keim has stepped down because of health concerns. Cliff Kingsbury obviously ain't doing so well in his tenure there. It's just one of those things where it's just not working out for him. And this is the perfect time to reset the Arizona Cardinals organization. It's just the perfect time to do a soft reset. And I only say soft because it'll be a hardcore reset. It'll be a hard reset because you're getting rid of the GM, you're getting rid of the GM and the head coach. And if you do both of those things, you're talking about bringing in a whole new coaching regime. You're talking about bringing in a whole new front office. You're talking about bringing in the whole thing. So it's not a soft reset. I guess the soft part I'm talking about is the fact that everything's out of the way for you don't have to fire anybody. Everybody's already out of the way for you to put your new guy in there. I've seen things where, excuse me, I've seen reports where they're talking about the former coach of the New Orleans Saints. Sean Payton wants to go there. I think Sean Payton has a lot of options, including going back to where he just showed up or where he just left, the New Orleans Saints. So, Chiefs focus 1st and 10 said Kingsbury is done. Watch for Payton to be the next head coach. Hey man, we will see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a situation to be paid attention to. Desmond Ridder. Let's talk about Desmond Ridder real quick for the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ridder shows traits that make him look like he could actually work in Atlanta. I don't know how Arthur Smith is going to do it. Arthur Smith is the head coach. But Desmond Ridder shows traits that he will and could actually work in Atlanta. But he has to put it all together, and that's going to take some help with his coaches and his own development. But he's only going to go as far as he will take himself. But hopefully his coaches do right by him and help him develop in a way where he can be the next guy. Probably won't see Murray there either. We'll see. We'll see about that for the Arizona Cardinals. We keep it pushing. The Carolina Panthers they lose. This is an opportunity. They lose this opportunity. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, let's move these banners on. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers take the NFC South away from the Carolina Panthers as they win 30-24. The Bucks takes the Bucks to 8-8, takes the Panthers to 6-10. And I know. Tom Brady's teams, he's making the playoffs at 8-8. 8-8. With the possibility of either going 9-8 for the season or 8-9 for the season. Either way, this is very underperforming for a Tom Brady led team. Very unbecoming for a Tom Brady led team. Tampa wins the NFC South, which goes to show you how bad that division is. And it's always interesting to me to see that Tom Brady ends up going to a place where he can easily win the championship for the division. It's always interesting to me. And maybe it's not meant to be that. Maybe it's not meant to be that way. But boy, it's starting to seem like he's orchestrating it to be where he's in the weakest conference. And I know Brady apologists will disagree with that, but whatever. Don't shoot the messenger. Anyway, but Brady does still have something. Brady still has something. It might not be as much as he used to have, but he's still got something. He's still got something, and you gotta believe that. You gotta see that. Carolina has a decision to make in their head coach during this offseason. We got plenty of time to talk about that. But Black Monday is coming where they fire coaches. So we'll see what happens with Carolina. Who would have ever thought we'd see multiple teams get to the playoffs with a losing record? Who would have ever thought it? Mike Evans and Brady had themselves a day. Okay. They haven't been on the same page as of late as far as games are concerned in their production. But they got it back together on this game. And depending on what happens next game, they may sit the rest of them. I don't know. We'll see. Because they've already made the playoffs. They've clinched the division. So we'll see what happens. But they play the Falcons next week. And it's I don't want to say an older team. I won't even call them an elderly. I don't even want to call them an elderly team, but they're not young. They're not a young team. They're one of the top 5 if you add up the average age of all the players, the 53-man roster, they're top 5. And I want to say top 3. They're top 3 and oldest teams when it comes to the averages. So they might need the week 17 or 18, whatever week it is, week 18 rest. They might need the week 18 rest, but then they might play a quarter and they might sit the rest of the game. Brady has groin issues from that 40-yard pass. Yeah, man. Geriatric. Wow. Yeah. He's not a young guy. So we keep it moving. All right, Detroit Lions put up 41 on the Chicago Bears. 41-10. Chicago Detroit improves to 8-8. Chicago goes down to 3-13. Now, let me say this. The Bears are, I don't want to say a good organization, but the Bears have a lot of work to do. There's talent on this team, but they're far from competing for the NFC North. They are far away from competing for the NFC North. So their evaluations this offseason will mean a lot. Ryan Poles, this is his first year building a team. He's done the best that he can, and I think he's done a fantastic job with the team that he was given. Who was assembled by Ryan Pace, who I think is an absolute buffoon. But whatever, who am I to say that? Right? You know what I'm saying? But I think he did the best he could with the team that he had. But the Lions, Dan Kneecap Soup Campbell might make the playoffs. Playoffs. They crapped the bed last week, but got it done this week. Who would have thought that would happen, right? So I'm rooting. I am rooting for the Detroit Lions because there's something about Dan Campbell that I like. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's something about him that I enjoy. Maybe it's the scrappiness, maybe it's the team that's playing for him, maybe it's both of those things combined. Um the Chicago Bears are crap. They've ruined a lot of careers. The NFC Texans. That's true. They've messed up a lot of careers, but Detroit is getting it done. So we'll see if they make the playoffs. And even if they don't, I do think they should extend. Oh, I just missed his name. Dan Campbell for at least another year. At least. And see what he can do building on the momentum that he currently has because he now has the talent. He now has the talent that he needs to succeed. So let's keep it moving. The Cleveland Browns beat the Washington Commanders 24-10. The Browns are 7-9. The Commanders are 7-8. Now, I get how everybody makes mistakes because we all make mistakes. I forget people's name all the time, especially the people that I'm here to talk about, But how Ron Rivera could gaffe so badly to not realize that this was a playoff, this game here against the Cleveland Browns had playoff implications, I don't understand. That was Bush League for him. That's Bush League. If you didn't realize that it had playoff implications, if you didn't realize this game against the Cleveland Browns had playoff implications for you, your team, I don't know what to tell you. You put Wentz in, 3 interceptions, no TD looking boy. And that's rough to say because, shoot, I used to be, that was back in 2017, I used to be a Carson Wentz supporter, quote unquote. I used to be a guy that really liked Carson Wentz, but he ain't that dude no more. I said ain't. He ain't that dude no more. 3 interceptions, no TDs, and then Ron Rivera comes out and says, I didn't realize this game had playoff implications. What? Are you kidding me? You had one job. I mean, obviously you have more than one job, but still. That I don't want to say it's unforgivable because it's not. But it's just Bush League is the best way I can explain it. Best way I can explain it. Watson's starting to get his rust off. I'm starting to realize that Watson is throwing with anticipation. He's starting to get into a rhythm. I don't know if he'll be the Deshaun Watson we once knew, but he is getting it together to where he's being a better quarterback. I don't know if he'll be worth the $240 million guaranteed, but they pay for the potential. So we'll see what happens. This year he wasn't making a lot. Next year that big contract starts to kick in big time. So we will see what happens with the Cleveland Browns and the Washington Commanders. They got one more game. Both of them have one more game to play. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to the Denver Broncos. That's 15 straight wins against the Denver Broncos as the Chiefs beat the Broncos 27-24. The Broncos are 4-12. The Chiefs are 13-3. Now, the Chiefs got a lot of stuff to work on, in my opinion. They have some things, um, and they have some things to work on. The saying that the things that you struggle with in the season, your issues in the season will get you beat in the postseason. I don't know if that's the actual statement, because it's not the actual statement, but the things that you struggle with in the season will get you beat in the postseason. So you need to fix them in season. The Chiefs and their turnovers and their special teams play has been lacking all year. You gotta get it figured out. Teams are too good in the NFL to expect this. Your weaknesses will get you beaten in the playoffs, and teams are too good to not exploit your weaknesses. And turnovers and special teams play, that's a weakness for the Chiefs. They, with the Kadarius Toney fumble on I don't even remember if it's a punt return or kick return, but the Kadarius Toney fumble, the turnovers in general, we got to clean that up. Special teams play has been something different this year. Normally, that for a Chiefs team. Normally, you don't have to worry about the special teams because, hey, it gets done, But the Broncos, aren't the greatest team, but they almost got you here. And yeah, this game was a little bit further away than the score says it. I know, I understand. I watched it. But you let the talking pundits say something about it. You let them say it. They had them on the ropes. Look, all that matters is a W. In the words of Vin Diesel from Fast and Furious, doesn't matter if you win by an inch or by a mile. Winning's winning. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Hold on. Chiefs Focus said they do. Special teams is the starting point. Everything else is coming together on defense. Now, the defense, thank you for bringing that up. The defense has been showing up. Willie Gay is being the guy that he needs to be. Nick Bolton continues to be a mainstay of tackling for the Chiefs, keeps putting on clinics for the Chiefs. Chris Jones closed out that game. Juan Thornhill and Juan and Sneed and all them boys back there, they're doing their thing. Now, we just got to get – now, I said that Justin, I think is Williams, is like he's basically the kid that we just sent to the Atlanta Falcons, but he's a rookie. He'll get it together. Promise you, he'll get it together. A lot of young guys, communication between the holder and kicker. Yeah, all of that. But I'm gonna keep it moving. Seems like the Giants have finally got it right at head coach. As the Giants clinch the playoff spot in Brian Dable's first year as head coach. They bury the Colts 38-10, takes the Colts to 4-11-1, takes the Giants to 9-6-1. Now, the Giants had a little skid towards the end of the season. They had a little skid. Y'all got to help me with these banners because I keep forgetting to switch them over. But the Giants had a little skid, a little losing streak for a second there, but they got back on. They were able to refocus. They were able to refocus and get it to where they need to be, and they are looking really good. They're looking really, really good. So let's keep it. Well, we're gonna stay here. I want to stay here. I got some notes on this. On the backs of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, who I thought were probably not going to be on the team next year, they might be on this team next year. Who knows how deep they go in the playoffs, or the fact that they even made the playoffs, given the fact that you came off of Joe Judge before him, Ben McAdoo before him, and those were colossal failures. Brian Dable has got these guys playing, and let's not mention the GM that used to be there, whose name escapes me, who I couldn't stand. But it is what it is on that front, and the Giants are really rolling now. The Colts, they got some stuff to work out. They got to figure out where they're going to go from here. They got to figure it out. Because I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know if they're going to keep Jeff Saturday. I don't know if the keeping Jeff Saturday um was all about draft picks or not. It kind of feels like it was, but I don't know. I'm not here to say that it was. But we'll see. We'll see. I almost I almost had a brain fart there, but we keep it moving. Um Jacksonville whoops the Houston Texans 31-3, takes Jacksonville to 8-8, takes Houston, the Texans, to 2-13-1. Jacksonville came to Houston. They took care of business, and they're looking ahead to take care of the Tennessee Titans next week, which I believe is absolutely going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. I like this I like this Jacksonville Jaguar team. I like this Jacksonville Jaguar team. I really, really do. The next game against the Titans is what their eyes are set on, but they didn't overlook the Houston game because Houston plays hard. The score didn't say it did, but they play hard. Tennessee better watch out. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs against this team. Doug Peterson, Dougie Fresh, that's fresh with a P. Dougie Fresh has these boys ready and raring to go. And I am absolutely here for it. I like Doug Peterson, one of my favorite coaches. Surprised Philly got rid of him, but maybe they made the right decision. Sirianni's down up there tearing it up. So maybe they made the right decision. It was able to get Jacksonville a quality head coach. Let's move on to Miami. Welcome to Miami. Miami loses yet another one to the New England Patriots. The Patriots scored 23. The Miami Dolphins scored 21. They're both 8-8. Miami's going to need some help to get into the playoffs here. Miami's going to need some help to get into the playoffs because I don't think they'll make it. They're in the same division as the New England Patriots, but this is 5 consecutive losses for the Dolphins. Granted, I understand that Tua has sustained multiple injuries this year with concussions, and that is obviously a sensitive topic. There's a lot of things that happen for this team, but they're not where they planned on being this year. They're just not. When you lose 5 straight, that's a problem. And that's that learning curve for your rookie head coaches, and Mike McDaniel is a rookie head coach. They got some soul searching to do, a little bit of soul searching to do, in my opinion. This isn't how they planned on being at the end of the season. Because New England might make the playoffs. At this moment, the Patriots are still in the hunt. Miami's on the bubble. And they're playing the New York Jets, which the Jets would love nothing more than what's the saying? Misery loves company. The Jets are in their same division. Misery loves company. And they would love nothing more than to pull them down into the mud with them. Chiefs Focus said, but they have Tyreek. He's in regret mode. I don't know if he's in regret mode because he got what he came there for, but I know he would probably rather be in the playoffs than not be. But they're still on the bubble. They still have the opportunity to make it. A lot of things are going to have to happen for them. Yeah. If the season ended today, they would not be not after spending $200 million. They spent a lot of money. They don't have a lot of draft capital to play with next year. But I was listening to another podcast about how they can finagle the draft, or I'm sorry, the cap space to guarantee some money here, guarantee some money there, and end up or bonusing some money, and they can get to a place where they can substantially rework the team. So we'll see what happens there. But for the New England Patriots, they're still in the hunt. In fact, they're number 7 right now. They're if they win, they're in. But they got the Bills up next. And again, I don't know how that's going to work out for the Bills, but the Patriots are fighting for their playoff lives too. So let's keep it pushing. The Eagles failed to clinch the NFC number 1 seed in the playoffs in week 17 by losing to the Saints. New Orleans scores 20. Philadelphia scores 10. Saints are 7-9. Eagles are 13-3. I don't believe in the Saints. Never have. Haven't believed in them all season. And I think if you listen to me long enough, if you listen to this podcast long enough, you understand that I have no faith in the New Orleans Saints. But they beat the number 1 team here. And that's 3 straight wins for the Saints. They finally putting it together. And here's one of the reasons why I didn't like the Saints or why I didn't like the Saints this season. They got all these older seasoned guys in an effort to get the defense to jump together and mesh a little bit quicker. Because when you got young guys, you got to realize, first of all, they got to jump up to the speed of the NFL from college. They have to readjust where they're living. There's so many factors for a young guy, which those same factors are for an older guy in the NFL. But normally when you deal with the older guys, they've been through this stuff before, so they can adjust a lot quicker. These guys took most of the year to adjust. The New Orleans Saints took most of the year to adjust, and they're finally putting it together in week 17, 16, 15. That's a little bit too late. Now, granted, had they jumped on it 2-3 weeks earlier, who knows? Maybe Tom Brady would have been on the bubble. I was hoping that y'all would do something. I didn't think you would, but I was hoping. But, they're out of the playoffs looking in, and they got a lot of work to look for next season. They say Sean Payton may come back. We don't know, so we keep it moving. Philadelphia. I kind of expected the Eagles to show up a little bit better than they did. Even with Jalen Hurts out, I expected it because they built a team. They built a team around Jalen Hurts, but I guess he is the catalyst. He's the engine that makes the car go when it comes to Philadelphia. And I do think Gardner Minshew is a quality backup. They just fell short this game. Jalen is day-to-day for Sunday's game. And I don't want him to play. I just don't want him to play. I think he should be resting. They will make the playoffs no matter what. They might not be the number 1 seed, but they will make the playoffs. And they just need to focus on being that team in the playoffs. The Jets. Let me move this thing here if I can figure out where I'm at. Oh, I messed up. Anyway, the New York Jets, lose to the Seattle Seahawks as the Jets are officially eliminated from the playoffs as their record falls to 7-9, losing to the Seahawks, who are keeping hopes alive for themselves. The Seahawks are still in the hunt. They're second in the NFC West. They're number 7 right now. If they went to the playoffs, they'd be number 7, which means they would still make the playoffs. But the Jets are out and they got nothing to play for next week unless they just want to ruin the Dolphins time next week, as you've heard me say before. Let's see. I don't I do think I do think the Seahawks have a little conundrum here. Uh they they have to figure out whether they're going to um keep Geno, which I think they could get more dynamic at quarterback. But Geno is quality though. Geno is quality. So I don't know whether they'll keep him or let him go, but we'll see how they fare in the playoffs. We'll see how let's get through that part first and then go from there. Let's go to the San Francisco 49ers putting up 37. Now, we're talking about one of the league's best defenses, but they let the Raiders put 34 on them without Derek Carr. I don't know. Okay. I don't know if the Raiders were playing hard because they had a new guy and, fresh blood. Normally sometimes you play with more reckless abandon and you're able to get stuff done a little bit better when you are Derek Derek Arnold. What it do, you? Hey, what's going on, man? Shout out to you. When you're talking about playing with more emotion, when you got somebody to play for or something to play with, and this team loves Derek Carr, but there's something to be said when you're playing with like either reckless abandon or you're playing with your job on the line. And when you get rid of your head coach, because not head coach, when you get rid of your leader on offense, which they're getting ready to trade Derek Carr because they sat him, so forth, so on. You all know the story. Um, y'all know the story. When you're getting ready to trade him, that just means that they could be shaking up the whole team. So you think about that and you try to realize I need to get my stuff together just in case they want to get rid of me. You never know. It's a lot of uncertainty when that happens. I don't know who the next guy is going to be, but the Raiders are officially eliminated from the playoffs. And the San Francisco 49ers, they have one of the best defenses in the league, but they let the Raiders put 34 on them. Now, Christian McCaffrey went off. Christian McCaffrey went absolutely off. And then they had the new rookie young guy that was playing for them. And he came in and at the end to switch it up a little bit. And it was beautiful. It was good. It was good. So Chiefs focus. Geno has been a hidden gem. How about them Raiders? Carr didn't go to the game last week. They told, as far as I heard, they told him to stay away. Or I think he said he was going to stay away so as to not be a distraction. Whatever. But I do have a question. Are the Niners losing a little steam heading into the playoffs? They let the Raiders stick around with them. They've been mollywopping guys for a long time now. Are they losing a little bit of steam? This ain't the time to lose the steam, man. It's full steam ahead if you want to be real with it. It's full steam ahead. McDaniels doesn't like Carr. Plus, it was strategic on McDaniels' part. He extended his job for another year. I agree with that. He might have, because if they get a rookie, they're going to want to see how he progresses in his system. I actually think that has been the play for a lot of GM / head coaches for a long time. So I don't disagree with you there. I do not disagree with you there. Let's move on. The Los Angeles Rams continue to lose to the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a battle for LA that no one cares about. no one in LA cares about what is this, the battle for what's the name of that stadium out there? I don't remember. Um I don't think it even really matters. Um I don't even think it really matters. But the Los Angeles Rams lose to the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers scored 31, Rams scored 10. Takes the Chargers to 10-6. Let me put this banner up here. Takes the Chargers to 10-6. Takes the Rams to 5-11. The Rams got a lot of work to do. And it sounds like Matthew Stafford's coming back, which I don't know if he should. Um, the Chargers are still playing hard, even though they have their spot in the NFL playoffs. I don't know, man. The Rams got a lot of work to do. And the Chargers, they make their playoffs for the first time. Be prepared to see or be prepared for them to make some noise. Be prepared for them to make some noise because you never know. With a guy like Justin Herbert being his first year, he could get the yips or he could play outside of his mind. We don't know. Not all five fans for the Chargers. Exactly, all five fans. Let's move on because time is of the essence, and I am sorry I am belaboring this, but we had a lot to talk about. The San Francisco, we talked about San Francisco, Minnesota. The Minnesota Vikings lose to the Green Bay Packers 41. Green Bay scores 41. The Vikings score 17. Green Bay's 8-8. Minnesota's 12-4. Look, I think Minnesota's losing steam going into the playoffs, and the defensive backs are playing with a chip on their shoulder for Green Bay. The defensive backfield, they held Justin Jefferson to under 50 yards. They held him down. Aaron Rodgers, he willed his team to win. Now, do I think he had the best day? Nah, not really. But this team is on the back of Aaron Rodgers. The defense is starting to show up and play with a chip on their shoulder. Uh, Um, the defense is starting to play with a chip on their shoulder, and so Green Bay, Green Bay is in the hunt. Green Bay is in the hunt, and so are the Lions. And so that's two NFC North teams. I don't know if they'll both make it. I highly doubt they'll both make it. But we will see what happens. Let's move on. In the interest of time, because this is an hour. I try to keep y'all for 45 minutes. My bad. But the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens 16-13. Takes the Steelers to 8-8, takes the Baltimore Ravens to 10-6. The Steelers are on the bubble. They're on the bubble, but they've won two games. Um, you know, if the Jags can eliminate the Titans, and a lot of other stuff has to happen for them to make the playoffs. But the fact that they started off so bad and they are now in a possibility to get the oops, my camera. Give me a second. This is what you get when you try to adjust things on the fly. Don't do it. Just don't do it. But this is, I don't even know what I was saying. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they got a lot of stuff to work on, obviously. Um, an hour's fine. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Um, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they picked Kenny Pickett. I said Penny Kickett, but Kenny Pickett with this year's draft pick. And he was doo doo earlier this season. He was not great. He was not great, but he's starting to come along at the end here. Pickett looks like the timidity is heading out of the door for him. Like he's now developing trust in his receivers. And I think he's a little bit ahead of schedule. I didn't think they expected to see this kind of production from him until the beginning of next season. He's doing it at the end of the season, and they have the opportunity to make the playoffs, back into the playoffs, but they've had great luck before doing that. They've had great luck before backing into the playoffs. So, with that being said, I think they made a great decision with Kenny Pickett. I do think Mike Tomlin is a great coach, and he's showing those things. Being 8-8 after the start that they went on, I think he's shown that he is a good a great head coach, no matter what people say. Uh, so they are still on the bubble. I think Miami would have to lose, Tennessee would have to lose, and the Patriots would have to lose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think all three of those teams would have to lose, and the Steelers would have to win. But let's look at the eliminated playoffs. Who's eliminated? Houston Texans, you're gone. Chicago, you're gone. Arizona, you're gone. Broncos, Colts, Rams, Falcons, Raiders, Panthers, Browns, Saints, Jets, and Commanders. They're all officially eliminated from the playoffs. You can head over to NFL.com, look at the playoff picture, and see that there. But currently, the Chiefs are the number 1 seed at 13-3. The Bills are 12-3. They're the number 2 seed. Cincinnati is the number 3 seed as current standings. Los Angeles is the number 5 seed. Let's see. The Ravens are the number 6 seed. Now we're looking. They've got 2 more seeds available, and the Jags, the Patriots, the Dolphins, Steelers, and Titans are all available to take that 7th spot. Only one team can get in. Only one team can get in. So, with that being said, let's go to the NFC. The NFC, the Eagles are currently the number 1 seed. I think they could go up or down. They haven't clinched. They clinched the playoffs. They haven't clinched their number 1 spot yet. Not yeah, the Eagles are 13-3. The 49ers are number 2. The Vikings are number 3. The Bucks are number 4. The Cowboys are number 5. The Giants are number 6. The Seahawks are in the hunt, but the Lions and the Packers are on the bubble. They're on the outside looking in, and if the season ended today, they'd probably be out. So, with that being said, I appreciate everybody listening. We're getting down to the nitty gritty of all this stuff. Let's see. If Tomlin makes the playoffs, he should be the first active coach to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I do think he is a Hall of Fame head coach. I do think that, and we will see what happens, man. We will see what happens, but I am very interested in this playoffs. And we're going to continue to talk playoffs as soon as next week. But next week, we're going to probably be looking at first of all, the playoff hunt, and Black Monday. Black Monday is when they fire coaches. Don't feel bad for them because they got guaranteed contracts. We'll see what happens because there's a lot of implications that go along with that. Teams change. I heard Jim Harbaugh might be coming back. I think it's Jim. John is the head coach for the Ravens. I always get them mixed up. But Jim might be coming back to play for the to coach for the Broncos. We don't know. I'm not sure at all. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Again, thank you all for listening. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate you, and I hope you want to be a part of the show. Soon, very, very, very soon, we will have we will have it to where you're able to live comment from many different platforms. And hopefully, we'll have it as soon as next week. But as of right now, we got it from just YouTube, Twitch, and I want to say Twitter, but we're working on that to figure it out. And I thank you for listening. Please, please, please check out Chiefs Focus, who I am with, who I am affiliated with, and check out Foco Sports. They have bobbleheads and things of that nature. Great show. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Please check them out. We are sponsored by them. So please, please go check them out if you have a thing for bobbleheads and sports paraphernalia, please go check them out. And other than that, I think that's all we have for the day. If nothing else calls my attention, please continue to keep the Hamlin continue to keep the Hamlin family in prayer. Damar Hamlin and his family in prayer. And please just take care of each other and be as safe as you possibly can. Deuces.